Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for taking the time to be here this morning. We really appreciate the turnout and we appreciate the crowd. It's quite a showing, which says a lot. So as you probably might have just heard by virtue of the fire whistle there, it's 12 noon. So we're going to go ahead and get started with the services. So with that said, I would like to introduce Tater Shaner. Thank you.
So before we begin, I'm going to offer some apologies. First, I was told that they like when I speak because I keep it short, sweet, and to the point, and get my message across. It's going to be very hard to do with all the things that we have to talk about today. My next is, I'm going to really struggle to say Austin or Bud or Betty Ann because they are supposed to be respected by me, of Mr. and Mrs. Pase, so it is going to be very hard because they helped raise me for me to say anything else but Mr. and Mrs. Pase. So I apologize ahead of time. And third, because like I said, they helped raise me, it is going to be a struggle at times to get through. But I will say on a great note, as I was trying to get myself ready, a Harley Davidson rode by and revved up his engine, and I said, okay, I'm good to go. So let us begin today by centering ourselves in the Lord's Prayer that has comforted generations before us. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. Amen. We gather here today as family, as friends, as loved ones, to celebrate the extraordinary life of Austin H. Pase Jr., who was called home to join his parents in eternal peace. A man that can be described with one resounding thread throughout every memory we discuss, and that is love in action. He wasn't a man of empty words or showy and flashy sentiment. He didn't need to be, because if you called, he answered. If you needed something, he figured it out. If your heart was hurting or you needed a pep talk, he was already there. He was lucky to marry the love of his life, Betty Ann, a partnership that weathered every season with love and grace. Together, they built a home full of warmth, kindness, and definitely purpose. They raised wonderful children and became proud grandparents who were without any question the joy of their life. And the truth is, if the door opened or phone rang, Mr. Pase was already there. He didn't need an excuse to show up for you, for the people he loved. His love was action-based, and his loyalty was for life. Galatians 5:13 says, "You, my brothers and sisters, were not called to be free, but do not use freedom to indulge in the flesh. Rather, serve one another humbly in love." And John had kind of picked this out, and this, as I was looking through and reading it and looking at the passages surrounding it, it's like this was written for Mr. Pase. His work ethic and dedication to serve others was unmatched. If there was a problem, he solved it. If a plan needed hands, it was his hands that were offered. If a family trip required him to drive to Florida, since he did not fly, he happily obliged, and he would pick you up smiling from the airport to meet you there. He lived this verse quietly, persistently, and humbly. He didn't serve for any applause. He didn't serve to be the center of the stage. He served because it was his nature. Because for Mr. Pase, love was not theoretical. It was a problem-solving love. It was practical love. It was a draw you a picture love, a sit with you in your time of need love. That's the kind of love that we're all here to honor today. He was a jack of all trades in every sense of the word. And we talked about that. We say that about many people, but literally he was a jack of all trades. But those that knew him best would say he was so much more than just a jack of all trades. He was a born problem solver. If it's broken, he's gonna fix it. If it didn't exist, he'd build it. If a greeting card aisle didn't have the right card, he'd make his own. He loved music, especially home free, which sometimes he listened to while Mrs. Pase watched TV. And then she told us that she would pause the TV just to listen to the music with him. Those are small, tender moments that tell us more than anything I can say today. They showed us what love and marriage should be. He also cherished bluegrass, something Mrs. Pase did not cherish. As I sat with my extended family the other night, I challenged them to think of one word that was going to best describe Mr. Pase. We could not accomplish that task. So we sat there for a while and talked. And just like him being a jack of all trades, no one word could encompass how we see him. However, we tried to narrow it down. Jen obviously had to say patience. So he is patient because of Jen. When I think of patient, I think of a dad who would sit still and draw you a handmade note next to your breakfast that your mom had made, not for show, but because he knew it would make your day, and it truly did. Mrs. Pase said, helpful and a gentleman. I believe not because he opened doors or he carried the groceries or he did things that we would often assume meant a gentleman. It was because a gentleman means strength guided by kindness. It's someone who offers help before it's even asked. And then John was really trying to wrap his brain around it, and he was like, oh, I can't just do one word. And he was thinking and talking, and then finally he said, and one word is love. And boy, did he love you. Other words and phrases that we used were kindest soul you'd ever meet, hardworking, always doing something. He always saw things through. He never gave up. Whether it was helping Jen refocus during a game, supporting John with quiet steadiness, or being the first person the grandkids ran to, he was the anchor. They would choose him first, and then they'd come back and give their love to Betty Ann after they were done. But they knew that Mr. Pase was safety, fun, and someone who would always help them clear their plate of the food they didn't want, which would often make Jen mad because she wanted them to eat things and he would eat them for them. And speaking of plates, he always cleaned his, even if it was food he didn't like. That man was raised to respect the work that was put into a meal, to leave no love behind. For me, it was a man that always accepted me for exactly who I was, no matter the season or phase of my life. From the little brother that tagged along and was at every event of their life, to the grown man, husband, and father I am today. His love was steady. It never came with conditions for me. He never withdrew it, and he always had a way of making everyone around him feel like they belonged, like there was always a place for them at his table, next to him on the fence at the softball field, or in his circle and in his heart. That spirit of love and welcoming without judgment is a gift, one that most people do not have, and one I know he has passed to his children, especially Jen, because she basically gets called my sister everywhere we go, because she takes care of me still to this day unconditionally. As we noted that Mr. Pase does not like to sit still. Even after a retinal detachment surgery, he rigged a mirror so that he could watch TV face down. Only he could think of doing that kind of method. He also would be the only one not to tell you during that camping trip that that event had happened, and because he didn't want to ruin that experience for them or the love that he had for them, because their enjoyment in life came first. They told me he was known for telling terrible jokes he had heard on the radio. See, look, I got an eye roll because I knew that was coming. They were usually mistold and rarely finished. They could make some laugh and some not. Not everyone enjoyed that sense of humor. He never wanted to say no to his kids. And when he did tell John no, John said it broke his heart. Like he could say that like he knew what dad was breaking his heart because he didn't want to have to tell him no, but he did. And then Jen never was told no. Ever. Even when she would sneak off to Rehoboth Beach and not tell them, nor get permission, and leave the bagged car phone, showing her age, in the trunk of the car, so he drove to Rehoboth to try to find her. Still did not tell her no. He loved hunting, camping, car shows, and being out in this world. Those are all memories that all of us share. There is a time to remember. There's also a time to grieve, yes, but also to give thanks. Because if we're honest, we didn't just lose a man who did a lot, we lost someone who was a lot. He was a rock, a fixer, the patient one, the love in the room. He wasn't flashy or loud or looking for center stage, but he had a gift, a true gift. Now we're going to take time to hear about those great gifts and memories from his friends and family. So I will open up the mic for anyone that would like to share with us.
I had to write it down so I wouldn't forget. Austin Pase can be described by one word: best. Best person you would ever meet. He was always there doing things for others, helping with electric issues, fixing plumbing problems, working on engines that wouldn't start. He was a man of many talents. The one thing he was best at, he was my best friend. Austin fought health problems for several years, but when asked, "How do you feel?" he never complained, and he had a positive outlook. We talked every week, either in person or on the phone. When I called him, he was listed under my contacts on my phone, under Bud. That's what he was. Even though I didn't like to talk on the phone, talking with Bud was so easy. Our conversations would last 45 minutes or more. Our families shared many things together: vacations, camping at Chincoteague, and family dinners. Bud and I shared hunting trips, just a couple of the hunts that I will always remember with a smile. One of those hunts was close to home. We were rabbit hunting and had a great hunt. We're going to share our take with a neighbor. He thanked us and invited us to come in and share some dandelion wine. It was really good. We were to have Thanksgiving Day dinner with Mrs. Pace. When we got there, she wasn't very pleased with us. On a deer hunt in Virginia, Bud either used a 20 or a 16 gauge gun. He was standing on the edge of the woods, looking at his gun. He had taken the wrong shells for the gun he was hunting with. I asked him what was wrong. He reluctantly told me. I laughed. He left to buy shells, came back, and harvested a nice deer. This and many other things I'll always remember about Bud. I couldn't quite find all the words I wanted to describe him, so I found a quote which I thought was very appropriate. The quote is, "Your life was a blessing, your memory a treasure. You are loved beyond words and missed beyond measure." Bud, I'll miss you.
Can I just tell you, they do this to me at church all the time. I just want to let you know, it's nothing new.
You can tell we're the vertically challenged family.
And thank you all for being here to celebrate the life of one wonderful man. He is just love in every way you can think of. You want to start? Do you want me to start? We've picked out two poems. I'm going to read one. My sister Pat's going to read the other. This one, and then I'm going to say just a couple things. To brother from two sisters, we hold on to our memories, the ones that are so dear, to try to keep you always close. Now you are not here. You were called, it was your time, but it is so true. You have left a legacy. There was no one like you. You were very special, and we want to say we feel lost in many ways. You are not here today, but we will never forget you, and we know you have been blessed to have you for a brother because you were the best. My brother Bud, I was his third birthday present. I was born on his birthday, so we shared birthdays for my 77 years. So I'm not sure he always looked at me as a present, but no, he did. He was one great guy, and I loved him so very, very much. Just two other things, though. I don't know if you're old enough here to remember Ed Sullivan and Topo Gigio, his little mouse. Do you remember that little mouse? Anyway, Bud used to do the best impression of him you've ever seen. And the one thing that Topo Gigio always said, "Oh, Mr. Ed, I love you." So, yeah, to Bud, I love you, from Topo Gigio. The other thing, he visited me in Boston when we were living in Boston, and we were doing sightseeing, and we went to the Bunker Hill Monument. The Bunker Hill Monument has 294 steps up, no elevator. He and I walked 294 steps and saw the most beautiful scenery of Boston. And he took picture after picture after picture. Well, when we got home, he went down in my basement to take his film out, and when he came up, he was like, I said, "What's wrong, Bud?" He said, "I didn't have any film." So I said, "I'm so sorry, honey, but I'm not going to walk 294 more steps for you, no matter what. But please, please be cheerful that he is at rest, that he is at peace, and that we are left with his love and wonderful memories of him." But thank you all.
I'm the middle kid. In memory of our brother, in quiet moments we feel you near. Your laughter echoes soft and clear. A bond unbroken, though you are gone, in memories your spirit lives on. Through childhood days and teenage years, we've shared our joys, we faced our fears. Now in the stars you brightly gleam, a guardian angel in our dreams. Though times move on and seasons change, the love we shared will still remain. In every dawn and in every night, you are our strength, you are our guiding light. So rest in peace, dear brother, your legacy forever shines. Until we meet on heaven's shore, you live within our hearts forevermore. I can tell you that Bud and I were also close in age, the three of us. I remember that Mr. Williams, I don't know anybody remembers Mr. Williams, our principal, our superintendent. We all three served on the student council, and the first meeting he had with us, and he said, "I see we have 3 Paces on board." So it was fun. We enjoyed our teenage years. Bud and I had, when we grew up, having football games and baseball games in the front yard with the Wicks boys and Walter Moore and John Cherryman. We just had a great time. But as we grew up, we had chores to do. We were laughing because we had chores when we got home. First thing was American Bandstand, of course, which Ricky, our older brother, drove him crazy because he's trying to go to college and study, and we're all listening to American Bandstand. But we had to do our homework. Then we had to get dinner ready because our parents were hard workers, but wanted us to be family and have a meal together every night. So Bonnie and I were in charge of fixing dinner, and then all 3 of us had to clean up. But anyhow, we had to make sure the stuff was picked out of the garden and do our chores. by the time Mom and Dad got home, but we watched the railroad track because we could see their car coming. And we wanted to make sure everything was done, right? But I can tell you they were wonderful years, sharing 79 of them on trips and things. As Wes said, we had a wonderful time. He was a wonderful brother, but he never lost a sense of humor. The day he passed, my youngest daughter, Deb, said to him, "Hello, Uncle Austin, I love you. You are the best man I've ever known." And he said, "Oh my goodness, I think we're in trouble." So even at his last words, he's a good guy, a great guy, and we loved him so much. Thank you all for coming and sharing in this with us.
Well, y'all probably don't know me, but I'm his brother. Most wonderful brother I could ever think of having. And I can sum him up in a statement. He lived a life of quiet elegance. You might think that's a superfluous word, but he was a master plan for how you ought to get married, raise a family, and do the good things. I was so proud of him, I can almost cry now, but I miss him. I moved off to Florida and wasn't in close contact with him as I like to be, but we talked often. And he was of like mind, as I was, on nearly everything. So I don't think we ever had a disagreement except one time I shot him in the butt with my BB gun. He didn't like that one bit, and neither did Mom, and I was in trouble for a long time. But we got through that with a wonderful family. And he was a soldier, a husband to Betty Ann, the love of his life. He was an artist. I don't know that, but he was talented with an artist. And most of all, he was a carpenter. Jesus was a carpenter. He was a carpenter. He could build stuff. And let me allow a little levity in this thing. I'll tell a little story about carpenter. One time the devil woke up down there, and here was a carpenter on the doorstep, delivered to go there. And the devil says, "What are you doing here?" "Oh, all carpenters go to heaven." I said, "What are you doing down here?" He said, "I don't know. I just showed up. They must have made a mistake." Well, the devil says, "Well, hang in here. We'll see what we can straighten this out." So a month later, and the place was looking great. Stuff was getting fixed up. Things were working. The carpenter been at work. The devil says, "See if I can't get another one of these." So he called up God, and God says, what do you mean? You got a carpenter down there?" He says, "The carpenters all go to heaven." He says, what are you talking about?" The devil says, "I'm on a couple more." So God thought about it a little bit, and he says, "I'm going to sue you to get that carpenter back up here where he belongs." The devil started to laugh, and he says, "Where are you going to get a lawyer?" Well, that bit of levity, I love Bud immensely, and so proud of him. Thank you all for coming.
Second Timothy 4:7 reads, "I have fought the good fight, I have finished the race, and I have kept the faith." Mr. Pase finished well. He lived well, he loved well, and he gave us more time than he was supposed to be given. And he has passed on his best traits, not just through DNA, but through his daily choices, through how he drew, how he loved, how he listened, and how he showed up. So what now? Now we carry him with us. We build things. We fix what's broken. We listen to music with people that we love. We laugh at terrible jokes. We eat what's on our plate. We draw a note. And we always answer the phone when it rings. Because in doing so, we honor not just his memory, but his way of life. He had a calling to serve one another humbly in love. Let us close out in prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this amazing human being that you gave us in this world. I ask today that you allow the love of you to surround us all. May Austin's legacy inspire everyone that is here today. And may we find peace in the knowledge that he is now made whole, eyes lifted up, hands ready to help, and spirit free. Go now in peace, and may all of us remember the gentleman who never gave up. In your name we pray. Amen.
Well, folks, this will conclude the services here at the funeral home. As you likely know, the committal portion of the services is going to be held next at Glenwood Cemetery right here in Smyrna. So in just a few minutes, we're going to begin making preparations to head over to the cemetery. I'd like to ask that if you plan on joining us at the cemetery, please turn your headlights on and your flashers along the way. And as you leave the funeral home behind you on the round table, there's some orange hang tags to help identify your car as part of the short trip over to the cemetery. When we're finished at the cemetery, then we're going to have a very full house. Everyone's invited back to our reception hall here at the funeral home out back as the family has prepared, a meal with refreshments and fellowship for everyone. So with that said, folks, what we would like to do respectfully is just have a general dismissal. We're going to encourage everyone to head outside to your cars, please, because we want to give the family some private time here in closing, and they will be out shortly. But if you're serving as a pallbearer, just remain right here on the side of the chapel, please, and I'll get your help shortly. Thank you.